So, Republic World is not news, it's just noise. And Arnab Goswami, he's not a journalist, he's a professional shouter, dressed in a suit selling nationalist fairy tales to an audience that desperately wants to believe India is something it isn't. If you've ever watched Republic World's YouTube channel, you'll notice it feels less like journalism and more like a never-ending propaganda loop where India is always the rising superpower, the West is always in decline, and China is always portrayed as the boogeyman, unless of course Arnab suddenly needs China to help him bash the United States. Hypocrisy much? Now, I don't say this lightly. Republic World isn't just biased, it's practically the dictionary definition of what people now call Gaudy media. That's Indian media outlets acting like lapdogs to the government instead of watchdogs. It seems that Arnab Goswami is the poster boy, and Palki Sharma is the poster girl. This video will focus more on Arnab and Republic World. He loves chest-thumping nationalism, shouting over his guests and selling dreams of Indian greatness. The problem? Those dreams collapse the moment you look at reality, because by almost every measurable standard, whether it's economy, military, technology, human development, or education, India is far behind China and the United States, yet Arnab keeps insisting otherwise. Take their videos on China. You'll see constant attempts to downplay China's achievements, its massive economy, world-leading infrastructure, advances in AI, 5G, green energy, space exploration, you name it. Instead of acknowledging reality, Arnab twists everything into some bizarre narrative where India is either equal to China or just about to surpass it. Spoiler alert, it's not. China's economy is nearly 5 times larger than India's. Its military spending is around 4 times greater. Its HDI ranking? Far higher. Its literacy rate? Also far higher. But somehow, if you listen to Arnab, you think India is about to leapfrog both China and the US tomorrow morning after breakfast dosa. And it's not just China. Arnab and his channel love to talk about the decline of America. You've probably seen it. Videos claiming the US is collapsing, that it's afraid of India's rise, or that America is finished because India launched a rocket to the moon. Meanwhile, America's GDP is almost 8 times India's, its military has global reach India can only dream of, and its tech companies dominate the entire digital world. In fact, many Indians go to America to work at these tech companies because they want to escape India. Yet Republic World keeps pumping out this India rising, US declining fantasy. It's like telling people you're the best sprinter in the world because you ran faster than your grandma. What makes Arnab especially laughable is how quickly he switches sides when it suits him. Recently, when Trump slapped tariffs on both India and China, Arnab suddenly became a bit friendlier to Beijing. He went on TV and said something like, "The US, a nation of just 200 years, can never defeat India or China, both with 5,000 years of history." Now, to the untrained ear, that sounds like some deep civilizational wisdom. But here's the problem. China has actually been a unified political civilization for most of those 5,000 years. India, on the other hand, has been fractured, colonized, divided, and stitched together only recently into the country we know today. To compare India's past to China's is like comparing Lego pieces scattered across the floor to a completed Lego castle. They may have the same parts, but they're not the same thing. And the funniest part? While Arnab thunders about America's weakness and India's strength, he literally calls for China's help in tackling the US. Think about that for a second. If India is so powerful, why does it need China's support? Because deep down, even Arnab knows the truth, that India is not a superpower. The US and China are superpowers. India is not even close. And despite all his shouting, he knows India cannot take on the US alone, which is why he tries to pull China into the narrative. That's not strength. That's desperation dressed up as diplomacy. Now let's compare Arnab Goswami to another member of India's misinformation elite, Palki Sharma, the face behind channels like Firstpost and earlier Wyon. Palki and Arnab might have different presentation styles. Arnab screams, Palki smiles, but the core product is the same, nationalist spin. Both take kernels of truth and bury them under layers of exaggeration and bravado. Both constantly frame India as rising while ignoring its massive problems: poverty, unemployment, crumbling infrastructure, poor healthcare, and an education system in crisis. Together, they're like a tag team of misinformation, spoon-feeding the audience exactly what it wants to hear. That India is destined to be a global superpower tomorrow. Just ignore the potholes, blackouts, and food shortages today. And let's not forget how this mindset spills over into Indian netizen culture. If you've spent any time online, you've seen it. The constant bragging and boasting from Indian accounts. Chinese netizens in particular find this laughable. They call it out all the time. Indians bragging about the most basic things like launching a satellite while pretending it's some world-changing achievement. Take the recent Chandrayaan moon mission. Yes, India landed a craft near the moon's south pole. Impressive for a developing country. But immediately, Indian netizens exploded with claims that India was now on track to overtake China and the US in space exploration. Seriously? China has a permanent space station, multiple lunar missions, and is planning a Mars sample return. The US has sent rovers, probes, and astronauts across the solar system. Meanwhile, India managed one landing and suddenly thinks it's number one. It's like bragging you've bought your first used bicycle while claiming you're about to beat Tour de France champions. This is exactly the culture Arnab embodies on television. Loud, overconfident, allergic to facts, and obsessed with chest-thumping nationalism. It's why Chinese netizens dislike Indian netizens so much. They see Arnab as the human embodiment of that arrogance. And Arnab, of course, loves it. He thrives on drama, on shouting over dissenting voices, on making every issue about India's imagined greatness. His job isn't to inform, it's to perform. But here's the danger. Arnab's rants aren't just entertainment. They shape how millions of Indians see the world. Republic World's YouTube channel is one of the biggest platforms pushing this narrative. And when you constantly feed people a diet of India is rising, the world is jealous, and everyone else is in decline, you set them up for disappointment when reality smacks them in the face. Because reality is this. India has enormous challenges to overcome before it can even dream of competing with China or the US. Its per capita income is 1/6 of China's. Its military is strong in numbers, but weak in technology. Its education system is plagued by shortages and inequality, and its healthcare system collapses under the weight of even moderate crises, as we saw during COVID-19. But Arnab won't talk about that. He'd rather scream about India's global leadership and pick fights with imaginary enemies. It's much easier to sell pride than progress. And that's why Republic World is so popular, because pride is cheap, but progress is hard. Now, don't get me wrong. Every country has its flaws, and every media landscape has its propagandists. But in India, channels like Republic World and anchors like Arnab Goswami have turned propaganda into an art form. They've built entire careers out of making noise instead of sense. And the sad part is, people buy into it. They believe India is about to overtake China and the US. They believe the West is collapsing while India is rising. They believe that yelling loudly on TV somehow makes it true. But the world doesn't work that way. Facts don't care about volume, and so here we are. A YouTube channel that's basically a megaphone for nationalism, an anchor who screams louder than he thinks, and a country being fed delusions of grandeur while ignoring the massive work it still has to do. Republic World isn't exposing truth. It's covering it up. And Arnab Goswami isn't a journalist. He's a salesman, peddling nationalism as news. So the next time you see Arnab thundering about how India is leading the world, remember this. If India were truly leading, it wouldn't need to beg China for help against the US. If India were truly on par with China, it wouldn't need to exaggerate every small achievement as proof of greatness. And if Republic World were truly journalism, it wouldn't need to scream so loudly just to get your attention.